I was born and raised in the state of Missouri, and I raised my kids here, and I'm still here. Literally, I am in the exact same town I was raised in. Raised my kids in that same town. However, what I have seen over the decades here in the state of Missouri is gun laws have changed a lot. And it always just kind of evolves back and forth, pro-Second Amendment, anti-Second Amendment, pro-Second Amendment, anti-Second Amendment, about every decade. And it's always just based on time and kind of the evolution of politics and all that kind of plays into that. But I remember the first handgun that I ever bought in the state of Missouri. I had to go to the county sheriff's office and I had to apply for a handgun permit. And I had to wait about 14 days for that permit to come back. And then when it came back, I could go buy one handgun. If I wanted two, I had to fill out two permits. And you could only get so many per month. I can't remember what that was, but it was very strict. More so, you couldn't carry a gun on you at all. Like, it was like you could have one locked in your glove box, and that was about it in the state of Missouri. And then they came up with concealed carry permits, but you had to take a class, and then you had to send off your information to the sheriff, and it took a long time. Like, when I got a concealed carry permit from my county, I think I waited about 45 days for that permit. And that's after the class, after I put in all my paperwork. I mean, you're talking like a 2 or 3 month process just to be able to carry a gun. Well, then they came up with constitutional carry, and anybody can carry a gun. But many states around this country, as best I understand, there's 8 of them, including Washington, D.C., so really technically 9 if you include Washington, D.C., where you cannot just go buy a gun. You have to go through a waiting period. Now, in Missouri, I can go in and buy any gun and just get it right then and there as long as I pass my background check. But that's not the case with a lot of other states where you have to, kind of what I just described. You just have to wait. You have to wait for a period of time. Obviously there's a lot of problems with that when it comes to the Second Amendment, but here is my concern, is that all challenges to those state waiting periods have been rejected by federal judges. They uphold the waiting period so far, as best I understand, every single time. I don't know of a state that put across a mandatory waiting period to purchase a gun where a federal judge said that wasn't okay. Like, so far, they've all said it's okay. More so, the Supreme Court is not taking up any of these challenges at all. So they're not going to say anything. So really what's going on is states can put forth any waiting period they want, and we just have to accept it. Now, I also want to add that when the ATF and the federal government decided that anybody that was under 21 had to go through a waiting period for their guns as well, there was no challenges. Well, there were challenges to that, but there was no federal judge that said that wasn't okay. They all said it was okay. Here is the problem. What you have is you have 8 states in Washington, D.C. all have waiting periods. You have the federal government saying if you're under 21, you also have a waiting period. And if you look at the common sense gun reform plan that the federal government has, it includes a federal waiting period. Now, normally you might say, well, they can't do that. Like, they won't get away with that. Why won't they? Like, think about this for a second. No federal judge has overturned a state's waiting period. No federal judge has overturned the under 21 waiting period. And I'm just telling you, based on that track record, no federal judge is going to overturn a federal waiting period. This is a problem because, you know, there's more dangers to the Second Amendment than a waiting period, but that's what this is. I think the biggest threat is the red flag laws, and both sides want red flag laws. If you don't believe me, just Google it. Both people running for presidential candidates said they like red flag laws. Sorry if your favorite candidate is one of those two, but they both like red flag laws. But this isn't about red flag laws. This is about waiting periods. I just think red flag laws are the biggest threat to the Second Amendment, because if they deem a people group, like if Christians are dangerous or this race of people is dangerous, then they'll take those people's guns. And oh wait, they did that to the American Indians. Oh wait, they did that to the Jews in Europe. Wait, and we all saw how all that played out. So the waiting period is really just kind of a step closer to that. You know, you plug in red flag laws and waiting periods, I mean, you really might as well just start taking our guns at that point. You're definitely not going to be getting any new guns conveniently anymore, that's for sure. It's a huge threat. And I think we need to kind of open our eyes to, well, wait a second. Federal judges are not saying this is unconstitutional to do this to us. So in the end, it really kind of depends on your governing bodies that be. And again, I'm not confident in anybody, really. Just saying, I'm not. Maybe, you know, I'm sure many of you just love your favorite politician and you know he's going to save your guns or she's going to save your guns, or however you're looking at it. I don't trust either one. And now I don't trust the federal court system because they're obviously not going to help us either. So really, I think it comes down to a depth of focus on your local government, your state officials, so to say, as well as your senators and your congressmen federally. But it's an important time. And I kind of want to go back to growing up in the state of Missouri as I close out here, in that you're only one election away from losing your Second Amendment rights. You're just one election away. I mean, look at the other 8 states. Look at all the states that have red flag laws. You know, there's states that have red flag laws, and I did a video on this, where just certain cities alone, just one city in certain states, taking thousands of guns without due process from people. Not okay. Not okay. So, but right now, what it looks like is 8 states, waiting period, DC, waiting period, anybody under 21, waiting period, federal waiting period in the planning process, and no judge is protecting your rights under these circumstances. So any thoughts or insight you might have on that? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and I hope I'm wrong. You know, there's many times when I make content like this where I kind of think, well, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm proven wrong on this. I'm not one to just, oh, I'm right on everything. I'm not that kind of person. I hope I'm wrong. So any insight you have on this, definitely put it below. Do you want to take a moment and say most people watch the channel, they're not subscribers? Click that subscribe button. It greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.